A content creator's job is a unique one. The vast majority of them are not 9 to 5s. They don't have pensions, they don't have hourly wages, they don't have benefits, they don't have vacation time, they don't have sick pay, they don't have any of that. There's a lot of challenges that comes with being a content creator in terms of creation itself and in terms of monetization. Most content creators start out doing this job because they love it, because they want to, without a single cent ever being put into their bank account for months, sometimes years at a time. But the tricky thing happens when a content creator suddenly does get monetized and they start making enough money to rival their actual day job. Because it's at that point, every content creator must ask themselves, what is more important to me? The content creation, where the monetization is fickle and ever changing, or the steady income, guaranteed salary or hourly pay of my regular day job. But if you've been around YouTube for a while, you know the vast majority of YouTubers quit their day jobs to do this job full time. And honestly, who can blame them? A lot of YouTubers will say this is the best job they've ever had. A lot of them will also say it is the most stressful job they've ever had. And the D&D content bubble is really feeling that stress these days. If you haven't seen it, Guy from How to Be a Great GM recently posted his farewell video. After doing YouTube for 10 years, he is calling it quits on his main How to Be a Great GM channel. Now, he's not leaving YouTube, he's moving on to 2 other channels, one about Star Trek and one about making adventures out of historical locations. But it's the start of that video that has made a lot of people very nervous about D&D content as a whole on YouTube. Guy talks about going to the YouTube offices near his studio and talking to them about his channel and the future of it. And in Guy's words, he says that YouTube told him, you will need to make a new channel because your channel is now irrelevant and we are going to be basically putting it to bed. And I have a very hard time believing that that's exactly how that conversation went down. Now, I do think there is truth to the statement that YouTube told Guy to try a new channel and start making something fresh and interesting for himself. I do believe they told him your channel's videos will not really be promoted anymore, but I don't think they told him we're putting a kibosh on your channel. I don't think they told him that your channel is dead, you need to start a new one. Because to me, that seems like a very drastic thing to do to someone with 100,000 subscribers on a channel. They wouldn't recommend to him a bunch of different options that I'm gonna go over here. Instead, just tell him, your channel's dead, what's your new channel? I don't think that's how that went down. I think we're getting Guy's perspective of how that conversation went and how he perceived it and how he took it, which is obvious because we're watching Guy's video. And I don't think we'll ever get YouTube's side of the story, but I don't think we're getting the whole picture there. I think we're getting what Guy heard from that conversation. But nonetheless, Guy talks about how he's going to be starting 2 new YouTube channels, one semi about D&D, but also about history, and the other one about Star Trek. And he will no longer be producing any more new How to Be a Great GMs on his main channel. And of course, this video made the rounds, so much so that Dungeon Craft also made a video in response to this. And in his video, he talks about how your favorite D&D content creator channels are dying. And he goes over Guy's videos just the same as I've done here and what Guy talks about in it, but he also goes into the controversies that his channel has been facing recently. He talks about how people don't like his clickbaity thumbnails and how he makes outrage content for views and likes and subscribers. And he counters that by saying if he doesn't make content like that, his channel is dead in the water. And he does in other videos as well bring up interesting points where people get angry at him for not making the same content that he used to and only making clickbaity outrage content, which he counters by saying that's not true at all. Here are the videos I've been making within the past week, the past month even. Look at the views they've got and look at the views these videos are getting. He is making the content that people say they want to see from him, but they're just not getting the views that his outrage content is getting. He also points out that over 6 years ago, he made a video of how to prep for a session and it got 100,000 views and did very well. And he also talks about how he's made a similar video to that style recently. That's better quality, has better information, better thumbnail, basically better in every way. But it got nowhere near the same amount of views as the one from 6 years ago did. He talks about having to work on vacation all the time. And he talks about how you need to be the most active during the first hour of your video's upload, otherwise that video is dead. And he also talks about how he still works as a teacher full-time alongside doing YouTube full-time because he knows the pension he will get from being a teacher is far greater than anything he'll ever get from YouTube. And from these two videos, we've seen a lot of videos spawn up from many different content creators talking about the content sphere of D&D on YouTube and how it's bursting or it's stretching or how it's changed. Indestructiboy also pointed out something that I found very interesting. Last year, the amount of Kickstarters based around 5th edition was massive. This year, it is drastically cut basically in half. D&D content on the internet is changing. And this is something I predicted in my video here. I talked about how the 2023 was the golden age of D&D, but after this year, the golden age of D&D is over. And from that would spawn the golden age of tabletop role-playing games as a whole, not just D&D. But now that you have all the information in front of you, let's talk about the things I find truthful in all of these different statements and YouTube videos, and the things that I find untruthful, if not outright wrong. And I can prove it. A common tip YouTubers are told when they start making YouTube videos is to niche down. Find something that you enjoy talking about and make videos solely about that topic. But this topic can't be too broad. You need to really niche down and find the one thing that you love talking about and make videos about that one thing. Because if you go too broad with it, you won't really be able to catch anything. The hunter who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. Focus on one rabbit and do everything you can to catch that single rabbit. This is why when you see brand new streamers who focus on one game versus brand new streamers who just do whatever they want and play whatever game they want, the ones who are focusing on one game make a lot more viewers and money than the ones who do a variety of different things. Because in order to succeed, you need to start with first interests that you like and what an audience will also like. And then through making videos about that, your audience will start to like you as well as the content that you're making. And this is something that a lot of channels struggle with. A lot of channels will focus on a certain topic and they'll get a large audience about that topic. But as soon as the content creator moves away from that topic to try something else, the audience will not follow them because the audience is not connected to the content creator. They're still only connected to the topic. That's why you start by niching down, and once you start to grow an audience from that niche, you start to slowly expand from that niche, and also incorporate yourself into your content a lot more, add your personality a lot more, and hope to garner an audience from that more so than this. And several content creators do this successfully. Philip DeFranco has been making news videos for years, and a lot of news channels are not as well liked or as well respected as Philip DeFranco. Because when people tune into a news channel on YouTube, they don't care about the presenter. They care about the news. But Philip DeFranco has been able to pull the attention from the news to himself as well, so that he can launch other brands. He can make other content and people will watch them because they found the news through Philip DeFranco, but now they'll watch Philip DeFranco talk about anything. And this is something that I don't think Guy from How to Be a Great GM has truly captured. Because it is true that Guy's How to Be a Great GM channel is not doing as well as it was before. It's sad and surprising to see, but very few of his channel videos are really cracking 2,000 views recently. For a channel with over 100,000 subscribers, you would think they would consistently get 1,000 views, but they don't. And in case you need something to compare with, 2 of my most well-performing videos from my channel with less than 3,000 subscribers have over 30,000 views. And we're gonna come back to those 2 videos in a moment, but I need you to think about this. What is Guy's channel about? How to be a great GM? Well, it's in the title. It's about how to be a great game master. Now you could argue this goes for any system. It doesn't have to be Dungeons & Dragons. It could be for any system that involves a game master. But in truth, it's mainly focused about Dungeons & Dragons. Because of course it is. It's the biggest game that's out there. But how could Guy pivot his content from teaching people how to be a great GM while also staying within his brand? Because I think that's something that YouTube might have talked to him about during that meeting, but he didn't take to heart. Because many channels have tried to shift their content and make stuff a little bit broader, a little bit more different. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I talked about that in this video here about Critical Role. But Guy is put in this really interesting predicament where his channel's views are already going down, and they have been for a steady amount of time. And he would need to shift his content in a way that still resonates with his old viewers, but is also interesting enough to new viewers. But it's an interesting and scary thing to try and pivot from your niche and try and broaden out. many people, many companies have tried this and they've failed. Now this one might not resonate with a lot of you, but the first thing I think of is Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson has been making motorcycles for a very long time. And when you think of a person who buys Harley Davidson motorcycles and merch, what is the type of person you think of? Probably someone much older, who wears a lot of leather, who might own a lot more merchandise for Harley Davidson than an actual Harley Davidson motorcycle. Hello, good yourself?
Oh, fantastic. Just taking some selfies?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's a nice name for it.
It's like that meme. They don't know I'm a YouTube content creator. They don't know I'm up here talking about silly Dungeons and Dragons videos. And Harley Davidson has been struggling to move away from that demographic and get new people to purchase their motorcycles. Because when your age demographic is also going up with your years in ownership, you have a problem arising because those buyers are not going to be around forever. And eventually you will need to pivot and cater to a brand new audience. And Harley Davidson has tried that several times and it hasn't worked out. They introduced the V-Rod Harley Davidson, which was a marvel in engineering and a fantastic motorcycle all around. But it didn't sell because it didn't look and feel like a classic Harley Davidson. Now the more popular option was they also released the Pan Am motorcycle, which also doesn't look or feel like a Harley Davidson motorcycle, but it's much more popular and still in production, unlike the V-Rod. Now I know comparing Harley Davidson and D&D content creators is a weird thing, but here we are. The point that I'm trying to get to is that How to Be a Great GM's channel was all about how to be a great GM, but he never expanded enough or in the right way where he could capture a bigger audience and do more things with the channel than just tutorial videos on how to be a great GM. And I think he could have. I think any content creator can. You just have to do it in the right way. You could change the name of the channel and start slowly trying out new things, but you'd have to do it slowly in a way where your audience is not completely caught off guard and your established audience does not move away from your content. And this is something Critical Role has been doing. In Campaign 1 and Campaign 2, it was all about the core campaigns. Now in the tail end of Campaign 2, we start to see content that is a little different than their main campaign, mainly during COVID when they couldn't actually film their main campaign. But since their main campaigns came back, we've seen their splinters of content continue to grow. They brought Mist into their fold, they kept doing narrative telephone, they kept releasing board games and card games and music and all kinds of other things around their main content. And now with Campaign 3 coming to a close, it is heavily rumored and speculated that the Daggerheart system is going to be Campaign 4. And they're no longer going to do D&D. And this is what I say is the right way to expand a YouTube channel, to try and move away from your niche down content while also not losing the audience you've garnered from that. But you also have to add your personality into your content so that the viewers that are watching stick around for you, not just what you're doing. And this is something that I don't think Dungeon Craft has mastered yet. Because like he said, his outrage videos and his more clickbaity videos get the most attention and get the most views for his channel to stay alive and for him to stay afloat. But those same viewers do not then go and watch his regular content, as he's pointed out. But I think that's because the vast majority of the people that are watching his outrage videos are not watching for him. They're watching for the outrage content that he's talking about. And he needs to add more personality into those videos if he wants to pull them to his other content. And I also do think that Dungeon Craft is far too hard on himself, because he talks about how the first hour of a channel's video matters the most and how he could be sitting having lunch with people on his vacation, but his video has just been published, so he has to be online responding to comments in that first video or the video just dies. And I have to say that's untrue based on my own metrics. Remember these two videos? Both of these are my top performing videos of all time on my channel, and they released years ago. Here's the views for those videos. Notice how there's a flat line where they got no views, and then suddenly, out of the blue, they started to go up. And now, they are my top performing videos on my channel. Were they dead within the first hour? Sure, they were dead within the first several months. But now they're thriving. But these are also not outrage news videos. And that's the important detail in his video. The vast majority of his channel's videos that do well are the outrage news videos, the ones that timing matters the most, because they only matter within the first little bit that they're uploaded because the news is fresh and interesting and people want to hear about it. So yes, that first hour matters the most, but if he started to try and make a change where he would add his personality into the videos a little bit more, I think he could make more videos about the topics he actually wants to do and get more success from that. How he goes about doing that, I don't know. I don't have those answers. But I do think it can be done for both Dungeon Craft and Guy from How to Be a Great GM. But whether either one of them want to do that, well, that's out of our hands, and it's entirely up to them. And I myself am in this strange place with D&D content as well, because I'm a D&D content creator as well. Now, I'm nowhere near the size of anybody that I've talked about in this video, but I also make videos about D&D. But I've also made videos about Warhammer, and I've made videos about Magic the Gathering. But I found my D&D videos got the most attention and the most views, so that's what I niched down on. But my channel banner says The Place for Fantasy. My username is WinglessValkyrie, but I'm doing D&D content right now because I love D&D. I love watching it, I love playing it, I love reading about it, I love the stories that come out of it, I love every aspect about this game. But I'm not going to do D&D content videos forever. I want to talk about more things. I want to expand and broaden into more subjects about fantasy as a whole. But I don't think I'm at the place where my personality can carry people across to multiple different videos that are not about D&D yet. Maybe I will be eventually, hopefully, but I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think D&D content creators are out of fear of dropping out. I do think D&D content creators are not pivoting their channels enough and broadening their topics enough to capture more and more audience members. And they're simply focusing on the core audience members that they have. And in doing that, are starting to see revenue and views go down. And I think if you're a D&D content creator right now and you're worried about losing viewers or subscribers because the D&D content sphere is about to burst, have you tried making content that's not just about D&D? Have you tried expanding what you make videos about while still being within a similar niche to what you currently do, but just testing the waters, seeing what views you get, what attention you get, what kind of comments you get? Do you get new viewers? Do you get returning viewers who like the new stuff? Have you even tried? I think too many people, not just D&D content creators, get stuck in their ways and don't know how to change, how to broaden, how to expand, how to pivot. And they simply just wave the white flag and say, well, guess this is all over now. Have you tried changing things up? Have you tried adding something different into it? Give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen? If you feel your channel's already dying, then its death is inevitable. You have nothing to lose. You only have things to gain by trying something new.